All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call to order the Franklin Regional School Board of Directors Committee of the Whole meeting for Monday, November 18th, 2024. Roll call, Ms. Wolf.
Mr. Azzolina?
Here.
Mrs. Buchera?
Here.
Dr. Eshelman-Ramey?
Here.
Mr. Follett?
Here.
Mr. Kozlowski?
Here.
Mr. Weinman? Here. Mrs. Woolene?
Here.
Mr. Zebrak?
Present.
Mr. Krumsky?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. We were in executive session from 6:30 to 7:40 for legal, contractual, and personal obligations. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Perino and the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm actually really excited tonight to introduce Dr. Saint-Amant and Ms. Berg, who will be talking about our middle school students of the month. And so, without further ado, actually, it's just Dr. Saint-Amant. I shouldn't say just Dr. Saint-Amant. Right.
I know. Good evening, and thank you again for giving us the opportunity to put a spotlight on our amazing kids at the middle school. Just a quick reminder, since this is our first time introducing them this year, our students of the month, we choose them by presenting a characteristic for each month. And then all of the house teachers nominate students that they believe embody that characteristic. Once those students are nominated, then we send those names out to another panel, which consists of middle core teachers, counselors, nurses, secretaries, and all the other important people in the building. And then they vote to nominate and to have one or two representatives, as we sometimes have for each grade level. And so for September, our characteristic was curiosity. And so I'm going to ask each one of the students to come up and stand to either side of me and face you. So for sixth grade, we did have a tie for curiosity between Tyler Schaefer and Melissa Hines. So if you could come up. In seventh grade, we have Rocco Perino. And in eighth grade, representing curiosity, Gray Steele. Now, before I move on to October Student of the Month, I am going to give them an opportunity to just very briefly, they're going to let you know one or two teachers that they feel have helped them to really work on their curiosity or to give them an opportunity to be curious. So I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to step up and you can.
Mr. Simpson.
Mr. Simpson, okay. You can stay right over there, then you can go right back to where you were.
Mr. Funk.
My social studies teacher, Mr. Thompson, promotes curiosity by constantly encouraging us to ask questions, whether we are learning about the past or current events. He always challenges us to not just look at the facts, but why it happened. This is what makes his class more fun and interesting.
I'd say my house teachers in general and Miss Belgiovanni down at the library.
And now for October, our characteristic was communication. And so for sixth grade, we have Bradley Jessup. In seventh grade, Nanaya from Pongmatso. And we have Amelia Bertucci, who couldn't make it tonight. But I do want to give these two an opportunity to acknowledge a teacher who really helps them with their communication as well.
Really just my house teachers and Mr. Funk.
My sixth grade teacher, Mr. Ripple, helped me be more, create more communication amongst other people and teachers.
these students another round of applause. Thanks again for having us here. We'll step out. You guys can go out and get some pictures.
Thank you.
Parents, you're welcome to step out with your kids as well for pictures.
Mr. Karimsky, that concludes the superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Perino. We will now turn to public comments, and there are no listed for public comments. We will move on to solicitor comments, and he's still out. We'll give it a second. I don't know if he'll be back. And we'll move. I don't think he had any. Yeah. When he comes back, I will ask him. So we'll move on to consent agenda items, and we'll start with the IEP writer and Power School Bridge, Mr. Scheckengoss.
Good evening. The first item is IEP Writer. That program is a special ed program that we currently use within the district for our special ed program. This company will help us connect our student information system with our special education system, so that data will flow between both systems seamlessly. Currently, we do not have that bridge, so if we need something in special ed, we have to go into a different system. This will also help with our state reporting and keep everything in one area and keep us more organized for state reporting.
Any questions for Mr. Schreckengoss?
Brett, is there a budgeted?
We weren't sure. We've been looking at possibly going with, it's a long story, but in the actual presentation of the student information system, there were some things in here that the sales team kind of told us would do that it actually did not do. That's part of it. And the other, we've been trying to get this done for a few years, so we were hoping we were just going to be able to use the built-in features, but it isn't robust enough for what we need currently.
Thank you.
I just want to take a moment to recognize Mr. Schreckengoss for his work in this rollover. It has been nights, weekends, early mornings, a lot of frustration. You can see he, like me, he pulled all of his hair out through this process. But he really has stepped to the plate. Without his efforts, this would have been a rough road. It was a rough road, but without his efforts, it wouldn't have gotten done, right? So I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any questions on that?
Second agenda item is Securely Classroom. So basically what this program is, every school district has an internet content filter that allows us to filter out websites that are inappropriate or a student shouldn't be using during the school day. The Security Classroom is an add-on to our filter, which allows teachers to view the Chromebooks only in the classroom, only during their class period time. So what they can do is they can't control the Chromebook. All they can do is see what website that student's on, what tabs they have on, and then they have the ability to say, okay, I'm teaching this YouTube video and I want all my students on this YouTube video. Right now, they don't have any idea what the students are actually on. If they're on their Chromebooks, they can't see them all. This allows them to see their screens. They can push out whatever website they want to the student's desktop, and they can lock it so the student can't go anywhere else. They can only be on that site. So they're not being distracted. They're engaged in the content they're trying to teach. They can also privately message the student. They can lock the screen, so if they're on a website they want them on, they can lock it, and that kid cannot go. The student can't go any other website. So it helps engage the students, keeps them engaged during the lessons. And we've been piloting for the last 3 weeks, and with 5 teachers, I put their testimony in there. They love it. Many other school districts are using this program. Most of the filters, internet content filters, have this feature. It's an add-on just like ours. And we would like to, purchase this and move forward with this purchase. It only works during school hours too, and only in that classroom. So just so you know, it's based off our student information system. So if a teacher has a class from 8 to 9, they can only see their students 8 to 9. Once that kid leaves their class, they can't see those kids anymore. The next teacher will be able to see them, and they'll be able to see their current class. It doesn't work after hours. They cannot control anything on a student's computer. They can't take their mouse over. They can't even look anywhere. All they can see is what's on the browser.
That's fantastic.
Any questions for Mr. Schreckengoss on Securely Classroom? Yes, please, Deb.
Is there a cost for that?
Yes, it
says
wasn't,
that
I don't know
yes.
why it wasn't attached there. I put it on there, but it didn't come through. I thought, and off the top of my head, I want to say it was $9,000.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
What grades would be able to use this, or is this throughout the whole school?
We were planning on using it from the intermediate to the high school. I don't really think there's a need at
Okay.
A through 2 to spend extra money on those licenses. If we deem maybe we need it at the younger levels, we can bring it back to the board at a future date.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Mr. Checkengoss. Bus and van drivers, Mrs. Cow, as well as bus stops.
Good evening. I have 2 agenda items for you tonight. Try and bring these to you quarterly. The first one I have is an updated list of our bus and van drivers from Myers Transportation.
Any questions on the bus and van drivers?
Do we have a, I've heard that it's been very challenging to hire bus drivers. Like, where are we at with personnel, the needs?
I would say daily, we are exactly where we need to be. So anybody watching, anybody listening, anybody you know that is interested in getting their CDL, Myers Transportation does train their employees for this to get their CDL license. It's a great job for seniors in our district or local communities. It's a great job for parents who want to have a schedule that sort of follows their student schedule. It's pretty flexible. They get all the holidays and the summers off. So we are, as all districts in the area, are in need of drivers.
So what impact is that having right now on the schedule?
Right now, everybody that is in the office is driving, and last week, Mr. Myers, the owner of Myers Transportation, drove as well.
Wow. That says it all. Thank you.
I give Erica a lot of credit, as well as the folks at Myers as well, because there are districts that are just not doing runs. So they do rotating waves where they say, this week we're not getting you, but we'll get you next week. And this week we're getting you, but next week we're not getting you. And so there's a lot of things, find your own way to school. So there's a lot of those types of things happening across the nation. And one of the biggest challenges in some of the urban districts, actually even suburban districts, is that ability to find people to drive. So.
And the second agenda item for tonight was listed in the separate attachment. That is our updated list of bus stops.
Any questions on the bus stops?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cow.
Thank you.
I'm going to circle back. Just, Mr. Solicitor, just wanted to make sure for the record if you had any comments for this evening.
I did not for public session. Sorry about my absence.
You're fine. Thank you. Next, we will go with Mr. Johnson, replace of the plow system.
Good evening. We have 2 vehicles right now where the current plow systems are deteriorating, and they're beyond repair, so we need to replace those on 2 of our trucks. Any questions?
Any questions on the plows?
Were they from a known supplier, I'm assuming, or
Yeah, we went from Merck.
is that reasonable?
They were our current provider of those, and they have the replacements on deck right now. And with such a short time and some snow coming, we had to get it moving, so they're able to get everything on for us right away.
I would assume those are on the state bid contract pricing anyway.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the plows? And the new changing table?
Yeah, we have a student that's moving up to the high school from the middle school. These things take some time to get delivered, so we wanted to get this on the agenda now, and that way we will have that for the beginning of next school year. This is a lift that helps protect our employees, plus the student has a hydraulic lift, makes it easier for them.
Any questions on the changing table? All right, and then the renewal of the automated logic.
It's our HVAC DDC controls at the high school, middle school, and at Newlandsburg. It is up at the end of December. When we were getting this renewal and talking with them, we also noticed that our software has not been upgraded in some time for the system. So part of this agreement will be the upgrade that is required to run the system properly.
Any questions on that maintenance agreement? All right. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Dr. Delp.
Good evening, everyone. The first item I bring to you this evening is seeking approval of a 30-day review of the proposed AP World History curriculum. This would be a course to be offered at the high school, 10th grade history. This year, it would be a course offering that would be available that would not replace the current course that is aligned to our honors curriculum, but in the future it may, based upon demand. Involved in this curriculum is also the primary piece of literature that would be used to accompany the curriculum, as well as a recommended resource.
Just to note, by adding this course, though, this would actually get a college and high school credit, where the current one is not set up to do that. Is that correct?
That is correct, and also expand the AP offerings for sophomores.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Any additional questions for Dr. Delp? Yes, please. Go ahead, Deb.
Do you have an estimated cost for this yet, or did I miss that?
The books themselves?
Yes.
What would we be looking to do, it's dependent upon course demand, so we don't know the total number of students, but the books were, I believe, 138 apiece.
Any additional questions for Dr. Delp on AP World History? And technically, just again for the record though, since it is a 30-day review and we do not have a voting meeting in December, it'll actually be longer than a 30-day review because it wouldn't be voted on until January, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Next, policy review, second read.
Yes, we're seeking approval of a second read for policies 247, hazing, and policy 234, pregnant, parenting, married students.
Any questions on those policies? Okay. Next, personnel agenda.
Yes, we are seeking approval for the recommended attached personnel items to be provisionally approved upon submitting the appropriate documentation and other required forms and prescribed prerequisites by the state and federal regulations.
Any questions on the personnel agenda? Thank you, Dr. Delp. Mr. Perry, ratification of the natural gas commodity agreement.
Good evening. Yes, the first item that I have for you tonight is a ratification of a natural gas commodity agreement between the district and United Energy Trading. Several months ago, the district entered into a basis agreement, which is essentially the cost to get the natural gas to the service locations here with United Energy Trading. So this is the first of what will be multiple purchases for the actual commodity itself, covering the period September 25 through August of 28. This represents 75% of the anticipated need in year 1 and 50% in years 2 and 3. So Keytex continues to serve as the district's consultant in regard to this, assist with bidding. We do participate as part of a consortium with other districts in Westmoreland County, and additional buys will be forthcoming.
How is the cost at MCF right now? Is it still fairly reasonable?
It is. It kind of peaked there or jumped for a period of time, and now it's been trending back down. The current price is a little bit lower than the 3-year agreement that we were just we will be coming off of in August of 25, 13% in year 1 and 6.5% in the pricing here for years 2 and 3. So it's stabilized. You know, energy prices overall spiked when Russia invaded Ukraine 2 years ago. They've worked their way down significantly since then. Fortunately, on the natural gas side, we were already in an agreement, so we didn't really feel that with natural gas. We certainly did with electricity. And that's another agreement that will be coming up in the near future for us.
Thank you.
Any additional questions on the natural gas? All right, the food service agreement, or equipment, sorry.
Yes, this item is to approve various pieces of food service equipment at a cost not to exceed $43,000. We've gotten 2 out of 3 quotes. We're still waiting for final pricing, so that's why we use this not to exceed figure. The specific items would be a 48-inch flat top grill, 2 merchandising display warmers, an Impinger oven, which essentially is a conveyor oven, pizza oven. That's the most expensive item here, and then 2 work tables. And these items would be funded through the district's food service fund.
Go ahead, Josh.
In the notes below, you say net cash resources of approximately 1.1 million, average monthly expenditure of 150,000. Is the 1.1 million left over after the 150,000 monthly expenditure?
Net cash resources is essentially our current assets less the current liabilities. So that's more of a balance sheet view of things. When we go through annually and complete our child nutrition financial report, one of the metrics that they use is that current resources on hand, which is essentially your net cash on hand versus what your average 3-month expenditures on, or what average of 3-month expenditures and the comparative between those two. And if you have any balance in excess of 3 months of expenditure, they want you to develop a plan to spend that down. So the position that we're in right now, they're basically saying that we have surplus funds being generated from the food service, and they want you to tell them how you're going to spend that down since it is so heavily subsidized by the federal government.
Okay, thank you. So with the
kind of an apples and oranges, a balance sheet view versus an income statement view to answer your question directly.
Okay, so the 150,000 for a year is about 1.8 million.
Average month, I'm sorry, yeah, go ahead, right.
So 150,000 per month times 12 is about $1.8 million. So where is the other 700,000 going to come from if the income, I assume, is primarily from taxes, which happens one time of the year? Am I missing the...
Well, a couple things. Really only operate essentially 9 months out of the year. So rather than 12, it'd be closer to 1.5 million. But none of the money that gets generated by the food service operation is tax revenue. It's the subsidies that we receive from the state and federal government, as well as the user charges for the kids that pay for the lunch or the a la carte, adults that pay for meals and whatnot. There's no tax money that funds that. So that's why all that money has to stay within the program itself, and you spend it on the program. It's a nonprofit operation that's self-sustaining.
Thank you.
So we have a base quote of 43.
Right, that's the low quote right now. It could go down if that third quote that we get in has better pricing, but they're pretty much right on top of each other.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Mr. Perry? Budget transfers?
This month we have general fund transfers totaling $8,404.24.
Any questions on budget transfers? And pre-approval of December bills.
Asking for your pre-approval for the December list of bills. That list of bills will be dated December 16th, 2024, and it will be shared with the board on December 12th, as usual. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or my office by the 16th, and we anticipate mailing out payments on the 17th.
Any question on December bills? And then we have one roll call agenda item, the Act 1. Mr. Perry?
Yes, this is the first action to kick off the 25-26 budget cycle. We are compelled to make a decision as to whether or not we're going to adopt the resolution to stay within the Act 1 index or prepare a preliminary budget and apply to PDE for exceptions. And the Finance Committee is recommending that we do adopt that resolution to stay within the Act 1 index. This year, Franklin Regional's index is 4.6%. And this is consistent with the process that we've followed over the past 9 years. That's the ceiling. We can go anywhere from 0 to 4.6% as we work through that process in the spring and settle on a final budget in June of '25.
Mr. Perry, just for an update, just to re-educate all of us, what is the Act 1 index and how is that determined?
Well, essentially, the Act 1 index is, I'll say, an inflationary measure that's calculated for the benefit of school districts. It is the average of the state average weekly wage, which is what's used to calculate unemployment compensation throughout the state, and then the employment cost index for elementary and secondary education across the country, which is basically just an economic measure. So historically speaking, 4.6% is still very high. It's down a little bit from last year when it was at 5.3%. It's been as low as 1.4% since Act 1 was brought into existence. So something that's not within our control from year to year, but that's the measure that is used for determining your tax authority from year to year.
Any additional questions for Mr. Perry?
Thank you.
Thank you. And now I just need a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole meeting.
Motion.
Josh, second. John? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? To carry on. Excellent. Is it, anybody need a break? All right, we'll move on to now call to order the Franklin Regional School Board of Directors regular meeting for Monday, November 18th, 2024. We will now stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We, the Franklin Regional School community, strive for excellence, learning, achievement, and citizenship in all we do. Ms. Wolf, roll call, please.
Mr. Azzalina?
Here.
Mr. Kozlowski?
Here.
Mr. Fallett?
Here.
Mrs. Boleen? Here. Mrs. Buchera?
Here.
Mr. Zebrak?
Here.
Mr. Wyman?
Here.
Dr. Eshelman Ramey?
Here.
Mr. Krimsky?
Here.
All present.
Thank you. Now I need a approval of the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes for October 21st, 2024. Need a motion for approval? So moved. To Deb, second.
Second.
To Josh. Anybody object? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Next, I also need a motion for approval for the regular meeting minutes, October 21st, 2024. John, second. Vince? Hearing any objections? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Now I will turn it over to Dr. Brino for future dates and upcoming topics.
So we have some upcoming board meetings and committee meetings. On December 2nd, 2024, we will have the organization meeting here at 7:30 p.m. at the Murraysville Municipal Building. And just for the members of the public, we are only having the organizational meeting that evening. And that is where the board determines who will, the meeting dates for the next year, as well as who will serve as president in the officer positions. On January 8th, we will have 2025, I can't believe we're saying 2025 already, policy committee meeting at 6 p.m. at the administrative office. And on January 13th, We will have a committee of the whole meeting and the regular board meeting at 7:30 p.m. here at the Murrayville Municipal Building. When you look at upcoming topics, we have the reorganization meeting and the board meeting dates that we will approve. So that concludes reports and information.
Thank you, Dr. Perino. Now I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report for October 2024. Motion, Deb. Second.
Second.
Mark. Any objections, comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And now a list of the bills. So I need a motion to approve the following list of bills for November 2024. Paid bills, general fund, $718,342.45. Athletic fund, $6,923. Total paid bills of $725,265.45. Unpaid bills, general fund, $925,082.80. Athletic fund, $45,501.93. Total unpaid bills of $970,584.73 for a grand total of $1,695,850.18. Food services of $185,649.29 for a grand total including food services of $1,881,499.47. I need a motion to approve the list of bills for November 2024. Vince, second. John? Any comments? Carries. We do not have for the director's meeting. Solicitor, any comments?
None for public session.
Thank you. Now I need any removal of any consent agenda items that anybody would like to remove before voting on consent agenda items 1 through 14. Any removal? I need a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 14.
Motion.
Josh?
Second.
Mark, second. Any comments? Hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carry. And now we have one roll call item. Ms. Wolf, that I will turn over to you for a roll call vote.
We still didn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Roll call.
Motion. Mark, second.
Second.
John. Roll call vote, Ms. Wolf. Thank you.
Mr. Azzalina?
Yes.
Mr. Fallett?
Yes.
Mrs. Buchera? Mr. Zebrak?
Aye.
Mr. Kozlowski?
Yes.
Mr. Wyman?
Yes.
Mr. Krimsky?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Now I need a motion to adjourn the.
Motion.
Josh, first, second, Mark. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everyone.